I guess I should record as well on.
Yep.
There we go. All right. I haven't hit my individual yet. Looks like we're live. And I guess I should record as well on. Go.
Okay. I just had to mute the YouTube.
You muted YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, just because I'm going to be playing the other sounds, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't actually start the show yet. I want to bring it up live here on the page.
Nope, that's fine. You do the share out of that. Let me get a couple.
Videos, is that? There we go. There's live. That's what I was looking for. All right. And where is the chat? I'll do the chat. Pop-up chat, is that it? Nope, not yet. There we go. All right. Oh, let me mute that.
Okay, I'm watching the Zoom recording on my end.
I haven't started my individual yet.
No, I haven't yet either.
I'm trying to get, where's the chat again? There we go. No, up top of the chat. Let's do live chat.
Well, we have 4 watching now.
All right. Hi, YouTube. Oh, yeah.
Which do you think works better on the YouTube, Kevin? The gallery view or the speaker view?
Do the gallery view so you can always see the people. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, always do that. That's the way I like to see it, because when someone's not talking, I like to see what the other person's doing and maybe reacting and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I was trying to give you a chance to do other things when somebody else is on the screen.
No.
If you have an itch or something like that, you know.
Yeah. That's a good point. But let's stick to gallery view for now.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll try it another time. So, do you think we're ready here?
Hold on. It's almost 4:30. Not yet.
Touch a stickler.
Chef Stomp.
No college football.
And lurker, that is Nathaniel. What's up, guys? Are we? Can they hear us?
They should be able to hear us.
Cool.
Really? My roommate's side. That's rare.
All right. It is 4:30. Let's do this.
Okay. Well, let's get your individual going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
That would help me.
All right. Individual track going. I've got Zoom going. Let's do this.
It's Culture Clash Live, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Well, Welcome, everybody. I apologize for sounds in the background. That's other people's computers in the same room I'm in, so I have no control over that. So hopefully that will not be there. In fact, give me 1 second. Live YouTube. This is what happens.
Go for it. I'll take it over. Welcome, YouTube guys and girls. How are you? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. Here we are. We are doing our third video, our second YouTube. Our first one was Facebook. Yeah. So anyway, welcome. Kyle, are we good to go? You good over there?
I hope so. I apologize if there will be ringing sounds throughout this because apparently that's the case. So, anyway, so what's up, Mr. Reitzel?
Nothing much. I'm excited. This YouTube live thing's cool, and I want to say hi to Jennifer and Nathaniel. They jumped in there early there, so hello, guys.
Jennifer is still mourning the loss of college football.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, there's still some of it that's still active. They haven't, like, the SEC hasn't said no yet, so
yeah, that's probably coming in the next couple of days.
Yeah. What about the ACC? Had the ACC said anything yet?
The three that we're waiting on are the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC.
Okay.
SEC. All right. But that really doesn't. Yeah, that's for the end zone. Which what? Let's make the announcement here right now, Kevin.
Well, hold on. Are you editing the notes still? I want to make sure the notes are ready.
The notes should be ready.
Hit save just in case, because I was doing that here.
Yep, no notes are ready. Okay, so you ready to make that announcement here live on Culture Clash Live?
What announcement?
Of what's going to be happening with one of our shows.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
He sleeps through the meetings constantly. I'm telling you.
You didn't say that was going to be like, the announcement. You just said you want to make the announcement. I'm like, what?
he sleeps. He sleeps.
So, okay. So the announcement is, as we mentioned, we're going to have exclusive content for YouTube. And obviously we're going to have some new shows and one-off shows that will also be exclusive. But one of our regular shows that we've been doing, which is a seasonal thing, and that is, of course, the End Zone, the NFL podcast. We're going to be doing that as a live exclusive on YouTube because that's kind of stuff we want to do from week to week, and it's really exciting, and we want to get people to jump in and have fun with that. And so we're going to do that exclusively to our YouTube channel on the Fandom Podcast Network. And if you're listening to this and you're not subscribed yet, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Fandom Podcast Network so you can get those notifications.
Yes, and of course, too, on the End Zone is our unofficial NFL podcast, where we also give you plenty of mediocre fantasy football advice.
Oh, it's so mediocre. Yeah, except for when Jennifer talks, it's not mediocre.
What you mean, Queen Stomp?
Queen Stomp, yep. Hashtag Queen Stomp, yep.
But anyway, part of this decision is to also, obviously, with the situation as it is, we just don't know what's going to happen with the NFL season. So,
by the way, can I just say hi to someone regarding football? Dave Fielding from UK. Hello, Dave. How you doing? But yeah, you're right. He's a big football fan, and he's a fellow Raider fan. So there we go. But yeah, we don't know what's happening with football right now specifically. They're planning on doing it, but like, what happens if the COVID really starts hurting things and making it even more serious, even though it's really, really serious as it is? We just don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I said, so the End Zone, and we will be doing an episode soon. In fact, Kevin, did you know that Hard Knocks premieres tonight on HBO?
Really?
Well, it is. They are doing the two LA teams, so who really cares in the first place?
What's funny about that, I was recently in LA, and I used to be a lot more familiar with Inglewood and all that area. And I was visiting a friend of mine, and then I was trying to get to the freeway, and I actually drove by the new stadium for the Chargers and the Rams, and it's coming along quite nice. Doesn't look as cool, of course, as the Death Star for the Raiders, but it is cool looking stadium.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have a talk with Lucasfilm. I think they have issues with you confiscating Death Star. Maybe Star Killer Base. They could allow you to use.
But anyway, thanks for the guys in the live feed there. Hello, Scott. Scott says, "Can Brits even like American football? It has to be soccer, right?"
It's probably a better sport right now because they're actually playing it.
Yeah, this is true. Yes, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, we got a lot of interesting news to cover this week. So. You know what, Kevin? I think without further ado, let's do this thing. And we're here, Culture Clash episode 180. We're here to bring you all the fandom news, reviews, and crazy Kev over here too. So yeah, you know. Oh, and of course, we would be remiss. The child must weigh in.
That's the wrong child, man. This is the right child right here. Yeah, look at that.
See what happens when you have a child who can't speak for itself.
New member of Raider Nation. And I even
See?
dyed his little outfit. Look at that. Yeah. I got the new baby Yoda in his Raider gear for you listeners out there that can't see the video. And he looks very cute. Look at him.
Jedi Mahomes will be there soon to save the child in his kidnapped status.
Jedi the Muppet Holmes. All right.
Yeah. I'm sure you wouldn't mind some of his contract.
This is true.
Well, Kevin, before we get started with stuff, you want to tell the good people where they can find us besides just here live on YouTube?
Yes, of course. And if you are listening, please, like I said, head on over to YouTube, search Fandom Podcast Network, and please subscribe. We need some more. We'd love more subscribers, so please do that. But all of our shows can be found on the fpnet.podbean.com master feed umbrella. That's where you can get all of our shows there. And if you want to just check out a particular show, you can go to that link and then just hit that little button at the top and it'll categorize all the shows for you. So there you go. Also, make sure you check out the Podbean app. Great way to stream us and download us. Fandom Podcast Network is also on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and some Amazon-y thing, right, Kyle?
Tune in on Amazon. If you download that app and you ask Alexa to find the Fandom Podcast Network, she might just find it.
Tune in. Nice. So pretty much most of the podcast catchers, check us out. Also, Facebook, head on over to Fandom Podcast Network. Check us out there. And you can also email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. We are also on Instagram and Twitter at Fandom Podcast Network. My name is Kevin. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Spartan_Phoenix.
Of course, I'm Kyle, the all-powerful around here because I control all the tech. You can find me on Twitter at AKyleW or on Instagram at AKyleFandom.
Nice. And of course, 3 ways to support us. The brand new one, YouTube, subscribe, please. TeePublic, head over to TeePublic and search for Fandom Podcast Network. You will find logos for all of our favorite shows, all your favorite shows there on the Fandom Podcast Network. Get your t-shirts, even your masks, hoodies, all kinds of cool stuff there. And of course, we would love some reviews. Guys, please head on over to Apple Podcast, iTunes, search Fandom Podcast Network, and please leave a review for whatever you want for any of our favorite shows there. We love 5 stars, of course, but we'd love feedback in general. So there you go. Over to you, Kyle.
Time out. Zach Morris.
Whoa. What type of timeout?
It's a Zach Morris timeout.
Okay, you got to say Zach Morris timeout.
I did timeout.
Okay, all right.
Clean those ears out. And I know you're getting older, but this is actually a legit Zach Morris timeout because Kevin, we got our first really full in-depth. We kind of had a short trailer several months back, but we got our first full in-depth trailer for the new Peacock reboot, not only was a reboot, continuation, the new version of Saved by the Bell that not only has, this time we don't only see Mario Lopez in this, but we see Elizabeth Berkley in this, who was a topic of a culture clash not that long ago.
Yes, we did a little bit of showgirl / You Don't Know Me documentary. And we had a nice discussion about Elizabeth Berkley, what she'd been up to, and the look back on Showgirls and the new documentary about it.
So, Kevin, I got to ask, what did you think of this trailer? Because I thought it was pretty meta, and it's almost like it's making fun.
Explain what you mean by meta.
The fact that it is actually kind of making fun of previous things that happened in Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, the caffeine pills, that was pretty funny. Yeah. You know what? It was entertaining. I'll tell you that. And I just hope that we get a few more alumni there at Bayside. That would be a lot of fun. But I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it, especially the joke of like, don't a lot of these people that work here look like they're old, you know? I thought that was kind of funny.
I know Mark Paul Gosselaar and Tiffany Amber Thiessen are going to make cameos in this at some point. I don't think you're going to see Dustin Diamond.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It would be cool though if he did turn things around and he did make an appearance. But are we going to get Zach Morris timeouts by other people? I mean, what's going to happen with that?
I have heard rumors that it might be a power his child has. We're just saying, I mean, Zach Morris had the ultimate time bending abilities.
What
So
was the release date on that? Do we know?
I don't think they put out an official release date yet. But I'm looking forward to this. I at least want to check it out. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it with some of the more modern type things that they're doing, and kind of getting away from a little bit of the sitcominess of Saved by the Bell. But it looks like it's going to be fun, at least on a nostalgia trip for a few episodes.
By the way, Scott just said that Mega just died laughing. I think he met Meta. I don't know.
Yeah,
Mega?
Meta, his wife, his lovely wife. Of course, that is Scott Botman.
I think that's Meta. Meta just died laughing at your Raider child, Kevin.
Yeah. Of course, that is Scott Botman, who is one of the captains over at One A Piece of Junk on our Star Wars podcast here on the.
Yeah, I think they've almost chosen a name for their ship. Actually,
they've been saying that since day one. I believe it when I see it.
The Drunken Gungan was my favorite. I hope that gets it.
Yeah, that's what we're looking.
But Scott was asking about that. Any Lark Voorhees rumors? Do we know anything about her? About her maybe coming?
Very unlikely at this point. Unfortunately for Lark Voorhees, the issue is that she actually has some mental conditions that really make it hard for her to act these days.
I think if she were around friends that were supportive and stuff, I think that that might help her. But I don't know. It would be nice to see her because we always liked her. So
yeah. Well, if you have Lisa, you got to have Screech too. I'm just waiting for the Mr. Belding cameo.
Yeah, I want Belding. That would be nice. Yeah,
so.
It would be nice though if we got like some of the stars that have gone on to do bigger and better things.
Oh, we got to get a Tori Spelling cameo.
Yeah,
that's got to happen. But Kevin, we talked a little Bayside, we talked a little Saved by the Bell, but I know you're anxious this week. So are you feeling it?
Let's news.
Let's news.
I don't hear it.
I'm just letting you do your thing right now.
Okay, so let's wiggity wick John Wick yourself, right?
Kevin,
right,
did your head explode?
Yeah, it did explode. Yes, we got some John Wick news, man.
Oh yeah, just minuscule
But
John Wick.
Before we talk about the John Wick news, and very timely, I got something in the mail yesterday that I'm very excited that I'd like to share. That is John Wick.
You've only waited a year for this.
So maybe even longer than that. So after John Wick 2 came out, before John Wick 3, there was a toy, a really nice, I think it was a 6-inch figure of John Wick with really nice articulation, real clothes, the dog, the weapons, the coins that was released. Then they decided to do a second run, and you could sign up for that second release, like make a reservation. So I did that. They asked for my credit card information for like over a year ago. And knowing that I was going to be moving out to California, I made sure that I put that information in there. And then I finally got some notifications a few months ago. They were charging my credit card and blah, blah, blah. And in the mail, I got this, the John Wick Mezco exclusive action figure toy set. Really cool here. It's in a tin. And I don't know if you could see it from here, Kyle. But as you see, that's all the cool stuff that you get. You get John Wick, you get the dog, you get the stand, you get the cool chest that he buries, you get the gold coins, you get many different hands of different articulation and grips. You also get these kind of like little blast points, like if you're shooting guns and stuff. And then you get all the guns, several pistols, the pump shotgun, and you get a different John Wick head. This thing is gorgeous. I was very careful when I pulled it out. But you lift it up out of the case, and there's a 2-level thing going on here. And I'm just going to kind of hold it up here. But as you see here, that's what it looks like in person. How gorgeous is that? Look at that. Kyle, I'm not hearing any.
Yeah, I know. I'm taking it all in. I was gonna say, okay, don't forget to feed the dog.
I know. Look at that. Look at you get the doggy. Isn't that cute? Look at that. Yeah, it's really cute. And then this this chest actually opens up where you can put the guns and the other case, which I'll show you right now. Hold on one second. This is very cool. This has the John Wick figure stand, but also the coins and pistol case. So you can put
cool.
all of these gold coins into this case, close it up, and put it inside the big chest. This thing is gorgeous. I can't wait to play with this.
I'm waiting for the John Wick G.I. Joe crossover at your place.
Look at he's styling too. Look at John Wick right there. Look at that. Yeah. I mean, come on, the real star, and this is for Jennifer. Look at is the dog. Look at the dog, the pity. Look at him, he's so cute.
Kevin, what I want to know is when did John Wick and your G.I. Joe Snake Eyes classified figure are going to square off?
But anyway, it was worth the wait. This thing is gorgeous. And it was about, I want to say around 120 with shipping, maybe closer to 140. I think it was totally worth it. Cause I'm a big John Wick fan and these are exclusive, but I'll be displaying it. So there you go. That's it for my toy news anyway.
Okay. So you got toy news. Davis Grayson would be proud.
Yes. I told him about it. He's like, you had to wait how long?
But Kevin, let's get to the real John Wick news. Hit me with some Wick. Hit me.
Wiggity Wick, John Wick.
So what you got?
So we have just been informed that not only are we getting John Wick 4, we are getting John Wick 5, and both 4 and 5 will be shot back to back. Now, I'm a little worried about this because I'm curious how much even a longer delay that'll mean for the Highlander reboot, because Chad Stahelski, who is behind the camera doing John Wick 4 and 5, also is doing the Highlander reboot, which he did give an update the last few months. He is, looking into that during the quarantine. He's been writing and doing all kind of stuff. But John Wick 4 and 5 back to back. I'm wondering if that was originally planned or if they were like, nah, let's just do these back to back because Keanu's getting older.
I think there's no way this was originally planned because he was supposed to have let's not forget, before COVID, we were supposed to have the Keanu double feature of Matrix 4 and John Wick 4 on the same day. Yeah,
not going to happen though.
So I think this is just more of a product of COVID. And, I know they want to get that Continental TV series out, but apparently they need to get John Wick 4 done first before they can put that TV series out. So
I think that maybe it's going to be related story-wise or something. I don't know, but yeah.
It's hard to say, but Kevin, I know you're excited because the more Wick, the better for you.
The more Wick. I'm so excited. And yes, thank you everyone for taking my advice and watching John Wick 1. And it's because of me that John Wick is as popular as it is, because I told you all about it. So you're welcome.
There's not enough room in the YouTube for me and Kevin's ego. Well, speaking of franchises that are possibly coming out with sequels, Kevin, one of my all-time favorite classic franchises might finally be getting a third film after much speculation because the possible star of this film couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Wasn't it dead? What brought it back? What happened here? I'm not complaining. I think this is great.
I think a lot of it is Disney Plus, to be honest with you, because they may be able to do this and make it a Disney Plus exclusive instead of making it something going theatrical. But yes, Tron 3 could be happening. Apparently Jared Leto in an interview said he has been cast to play a lead role in Tron 3 and that they have already named a director in Garth Davis, who I hadn't really heard of, but I pulled up his IMDb. The movie that most people are talking about with him is the movie Lion.
Lion. Why does that sound familiar?
It looks like it was. Let me bring up the description of it here. Give me 1 second. Here, IMDb kicking in.
Because the big question that I have as you're looking that up, all we're hearing is Jared Leto. I have no problem with Jared Leto. I think he's great. I think he's a good actor. But is it just him? Are we going to get Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde back? Are we going to get Bruce Boxleitner? And of course, are we going to get Jeff Bridges? That's what I want to know. I'm
kind of thinking maybe Bruce Boxleitner, maybe Olivia Wilde. I don't know if we'll get Garrett Hedlund or Jeff Bridges for this. This is interesting because nobody expected this. This is really comes out of
we need that there's a story there. We need to find out. So I hope that happens. But Garth Davis, what information you got on him here?
His IMDb is very small, actually. He's not done a lot. He's done a series, Top of the Lake. He's also done Love My Way, Alice, and then he did this series called Lion, which was a documentary series. Dev Patel was also involved in this.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
It was in 2017, and that was kind of the big thing that got
The other big question, Kyle. Who's gonna do the soundtrack? Little Daft Punk, I hope. Hope they return.
I would hope so, but like I said, all this is really early right now, so it's hard to say what's going to happen.
Well,
happen here.
in the chat here, Nathaniel says Bruce Boxleitner is Tron. We have to have. I like to have him get a bigger role this time.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
really, well, he barely had a role in Tron Legacy, which it's interesting too, Kevin. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been a lot of articles even before this Tron 3 announcement talking about how Tron Legacy has really become such a cult, huge film.
It is. It is. I think it's also grown. There's a lot of people that were kind of naysaying it when it first came out. It wasn't me, but I think it's aging better to a certain degree, except for maybe a little bit of the CG with with young Jeff Bridges. But I think the overall Tron world and the Tron look, the rebooted or the new sequel version of it, I think people were wanting to see it again, and I think the nostalgia of it is coming back because it was a great movie, and we want to see more. And we were at first we thought it was dead. We weren't going to see it. So
yeah, I'll tell you, I used the high definition of that movie to kind of test the settings of my TV screen.
Yeah,
to make sure it's.
Well, you didn't do Mila Jovovich's Ultraviolet? That's what I did.
Yeah, I actually want to watch a movie I like. That's so. This was kind of some interesting news and I think something kind of fun, Kevin. The Peacock app, which of course we watched Brave New World on, and I kind of did some retro Sequest DSV on that. Well, there's a classic Saturday Night Live skit that actually ended up getting a movie. It has become, speaking of cult classics, a definite cult classic, and that is Kevin MacGruber.
MacGruber!
I know you're a fan of this. It looks like they are bringing MacGruber back as some kind of exclusive series to Peacock.
I really enjoyed the skits on Saturday Night Live. The movie was silly. I like the fact though that it was like a hard R, obviously, but I don't know if I've rewatched it since. It was fun when it came out, but I don't. God, I really get curious on how they're going to pull this off and to keep our attention, because the MacGruber skits were under 5 minutes or less, and they were very funny. So I don't know, man. This is weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but this is kind of one of the things that the age of streaming is bringing us. It's bringing us things that we would have probably never got otherwise because everybody's looking for original content for their streaming services now.
Sorry, Nathaniel said MacGruber is an awful, awful, awful film.
I'm not going to argue that, Nathaniel.
Maybe I should watch it again to confirm that, but then I kind of don't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just take his word for it.
However, Kevin, speaking of streaming series, this is one I've actually been probably more excited about than I think other people have because I was a fan of this character in the movie he was in. And I'm looking forward to going back to this period of Star Wars. And that is the Rogue One Cassian Andor series, which has been delayed from filming, but it's given them some time to add a couple of cast members as well, including the great Stellan Skarsgård.
Oh, I like him. He's good. He was so good in Heat. Remember him in Heat?
Oh, yeah. And I loved him in the Thor films.
Yes.
Did you ever watch the Ryan Reynolds movie on Netflix, Six Underground?
Of course.
Adria Arjona from that film is joining the cast.
That's how I remember her. Yes. Okay. Yeah. She's a cutie.
Yeah, a little more than that. Also joining the series are Denise Go, Genevieve O'Reilly, and Kyle Solar in undisclosed roles. We already know that Alan Tudyk is coming back for K2SO. Obviously, Diego Luna is playing Cassian again. The show is being run by Stephen Schiff from The Americans, as well as Rogue One co-writer Tony Gilroy. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be.
Is this a limited series? Do you know? Or will it be kind of ongoing?
I think this is going to be like a one-off series, like what they're doing with Kenobi.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I really want to see this time during the rebellion, and I'm curious if there's going to be any. I don't know if Cassian is the type that's going to have a romantic interest, but I'm kind of curious if they're thinking of that.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's going to be interesting, and I'm excited for it. I know we're not going to get this till probably late 2021 at best, so if not till 2022 at this point. But
yeah,
we shall
I'm
see.
thinking probably closer to 2022.
Yep. But speaking of things we're getting, Kevin, Bill and Ted are gonna face the music a little sooner, or is it later, or is it sooner? I'm confused. Originally supposed to be coming out, I believe it was September 1st on video on demand and with a limited theatrical release, to basically depending on what theaters were doing with COVID. They have moved up the video on demand and will be coming out Friday, August 28th now.
I can't wait. Okay, so let's go back. Originally it was July, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I believe it was middle of July. Yeah.
Then it was trying to get into that theater phase of the with Tenet and Mulan, and it was like that third film after those two were supposed to make their theater debut, assuming COVID was getting better, which it didn't. It started getting worse. So and then it got pushed back to like late July. Then it got pushed back to August. And then we got the notification that it was going to be September 1st, but now it's coming back September 1st with the video on demand, but now it's going to be the 28th, which I'm really excited about, man. Take my money. You're going to get my money.
This is gonna get my money before Mulan's gonna get my money.
Oh yes.
I'm gonna say that right now. So
yes. Yeah.
I am excited. Bring on Bill and Ted. Just bring on something new.
Yes.
I mean, we've had some good stuff, but I need a actual movie.
By the way, I just wanted to mention to the listeners and the viewers out there, we recently recorded a Couch Potato Theater with our buddy Murph from Raider Fans Radio. You can search for his podcast on the Murph Fan Cave master feed there, where he's got several shows there. But he's a huge fan of Bill and Ted, and both he, Kyle, and myself, we decided not just cover Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but we did a Couch Potato Theater also talking about Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And we'll be releasing that just prior to Bill and Ted Face the Music that comes out on demand. So look for that. It was a lot of fun to record that. And I want to thank Murph again for coming on and checking that out and doing it with us.
All I have to say that is excellent.
Bogus.
Well, speaking of bogus, Kevin, I know you're going to find this bogus, and I think HBO Max is going to find this bogus too, because this has been one of their huge selling points for that service. Was they were going to have this exclusive Friends reunion show that now is indefinitely delayed because of COVID.
Yes, I would like to give 2020 the friendly finger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you watch Friends, you know what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. It just still sucks.
It was supposed to come out in May of 2021. Now we don't know, but at least it hasn't been canceled, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes and what they have to say and how much fun they're gonna have. Yeah. But this kind of snuck up in the middle of the week over the weekend, Kevin, and I'm still trying to figure out if I like this or not, but Captain Marvel 2 has a director. Now, we knew that they were going to make a directorial change. A lot of people seem to think that's something that was drastically needed after the first Captain Marvel film. They have announced that Nia DaCosta is going to be the director for Captain Marvel 2. If you are not familiar with Nia DaCosta, she's fairly new on the scene, but she has a very big project coming out here soon, as she is doing the Candyman reimagining with Jordan Peele producing.
Yeah, the new I guess it's a reboot. Yes.
Yeah, remake, reboot, however they're doing that. She's been named that's been high on a lot of people's lists coming up, and this is what Disney does with Marvel too. They find sometimes they get the big name directors, but then they also get those directors that are kind of up and coming, and they give them a project. And I think this is an interesting project, because I think the Captain Marvel situation at Disney and with Marvel Studios is one of the more important and intriguing situations going on for them.
Why do you say that?
Because I know that they had a lot of plans for the Captain Marvel character, and I think it's safe to say a lot of people were not necessarily blown away by Brie Larson's performance in the original Captain Marvel film. I think a lot of people felt it was lacking a little something.
I've heard that. I don't get it. I really enjoyed that film.
It-
It's I don't know. Brie Larson obviously is still working on her character of Captain Marvel. I think she do Endgame, or what was it? Was it
yeah,
Endgame
Endgame.
or
Yeah, she actually
Endgame?
filmed Endgame before Captain Marvel.
Yes, film that, and then she does Captain Marvel. But I don't know. I don't see what people's problem with it is. I enjoyed it. I mean, if anything that was kind of weak was, maybe some of the backstory a little bit. But
Yeah,
to me, it's still kind of a mystery, and I think they kind of wanted to leave some of that to work on maybe later. So, but I'm
uh,
excited about Captain Marvel too, and especially Goose.
yeah. Well, and the other thing is I think they have big plans for Captain Marvel to maybe take over the kind of Captain America role
Yeah,
in
that's
the
still the
Avengers.
plans, right?
It's hard to say right now. There's some there's talk that maybe you're going to end up seeing Tom Holland step forward in a bigger role as Spider-Man. It's interesting to see, but I do think that they need to give Captain Marvel a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, well, I
Energy.
think I think that Captain Marvel's going to do the Captain America thing, and then you're going to get Tom Holland kind of doing the Tony Stark thing, and
Yeah.
maybe they can work together, So yeah,
Yeah. So I like this. I'm curious to see what it's going to lead to. Give credit to Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. He's willing to take chances, and I like that.
yeah.
Speaking of interesting things, Kevin, Ridley Scott is coming to television.
Mm-hmm.
He has got a new HBO Max series that I had not heard anything about till I saw this trailer over the weekend called Raised by Wolves.
I saw that trailer last week, dude.
That was a very intense trailer.
Very intense trailer. Highly recommend checking it out. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa.
So here's kind of the premise based off of what they have on Wikipedia right now. Raised by Wolves centers around two androids, father and mother, tasked with raising human children on a mysterious new planet after the Earth was destroyed by a great war. As the burgeoning colony of humans threatens to be torn apart by religious differences, the androids learn that controlling the beliefs of humans is a treacherous and difficult task. Now, I look at the cast for this, and I really haven't heard of too many of these actors.
No, the two leads are Jordan Loran and Ethan Hazard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know any of these names unless they've been kind of you know bit parts in other films that we don't really know them by name, but maybe we know more them by face. So yeah. But
Yeah.
visually, this trailer looked awesome.
This
It
was
looked
up there
very
on
intense.
Prometheus. Yeah, this looked on Prometheus's level of visually.
It looked violent. It looked scary. I mean, I color me intrigued. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah.
As long as I don't see David from Prometheus and Alien Covenant, I'm done.
Real quick too. Nathaniel brought up something since we were talking about HBO and AT&T. They had a little bit of a bloodbath over there recently too. There was some major shakeups going on at Warner Brothers. They have let a ton of people go. They
I've
have
heard.
shuffled a lot of things. This even affected DC Comics directly, as the editor-in-chief of DC Comics was let go, as along with several publishers and key editors. And Jim Lee, who is a big factor over at DC's, his powers have been reduced. A lot of this is speculation that the DC Universe app, which is home to Titans and Stargirl and a few other original things, is eventually at least the media side of TV and movies that are on that are just going to be absorbed right into the HBO Max app, and maybe the DC Universe app goes the way of the Marvel Unlimited app, which is basically the entire Marvel Comics library digitally.
Right. Wow. Interesting.
And
Huh.
so it's very interesting. Warner's in a really weird place right now, and they kind of need something to hit big. The launch of HBO Max has been a little bit rocky. I have it. I've looked at it because I get it through my cable company subscription. There's some great things on there. The fact they have a Studio Ghibli collection, and they have a phenomenal movie library on that.
Oh, very cool.
And a lot of the original HBO program. It's more than just HBO stuff. There's Warner Library stuff. There's Criterion Collection stuff from Turner. So there's a lot of different things on there. There's a lot you get for what you pay for on that. But it's had a rocky app, and part of it is because you cannot get it on an Amazon device, and you cannot get it on a Roku device, and I don't think you can get it on Samsung smart TVs either.
How are you gonna get it?
There's this little box called an Apple TV.
Okay, I got
So,
that.
yeah. Well, I think if once it gets on those platforms, it'll start picking up more steam. But yeah,
Cool.
interesting time at Warner's and at DC Comics. And the last piece of news, Kevin, I think I just felt it was fitting to talk about this, considering our main topic of the week.
Right.
But one of my all-time favorite animated series, which I think has always been very intelligently written for kids as well as adults, is Animaniacs. And they are bringing a revival of Animaniacs back. They announced this a couple of years ago. Well, they've announced where it's going to happen. It's going to happen on Hulu. They're going to bring back the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain for a special Animaniacs revival, which has already been renewed for a second season. And the even better part about this is the voice actors for Yakko, Wacko, and Dot are all coming back to revive their characters.
Never watched this show.
Oh, Kevin, this show would be right up your alley. You would love the comedy in this show.
Who are the characters and what's it about?
Animaniacs is basically Yakko, Wacko, and Dot Warner. Apparently the lost characters from the Warner animation library. The storyline in the show is that they were so wacky they were locked into the Warner Brothers water tower and they escaped.
Okay.
And henceforth the craziness of the Animaniacs begins.
Okay, gotcha. And I've seen that Warner Brothers water tower in person. So yeah.
So if you hear strange sounds from it, that's probably what it was. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun. We need fun things like this, so bring it on. But you know what, Kevin? We have watched a few things. So once again, it's time to buy it, stream it, or unsee it. And I think we should start off by going lower, Kevin. We should go low, Kevin. Really low.
What do you mean by that low? Yes.
So Star Trek Lower Decks came out, and I think we'll be talking about this too when the Union Federation comes back when there's more Star Trek stuff to talk about. But I think we need to talk about this a little, Kevin, because I watched this. From everything I've seen out on the net, it's getting mixed reviews. I don't think I've ever seen anybody who's just flat out.
Whoa. Are you saying something that's Star Trek related is getting mixed reviews from Star Trek fans? What?
Yeah, I know. In this case, though, I don't see even the people who are saying they didn't care for it are saying they're glad we have it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not their cup of tea, but they're glad something is out there like this. Kind of going in the animation way of, say, Rick and Morty, some of these more like adult style animations. We have Star Trek Lower Decks, Kevin, and the first episode hit 22 minutes. I'm not going to say I hated it. I'm not going to say it blew me away, but I enjoyed myself for 22 minutes.
There is 22 episodes that show on IMDb that we're going to get. Do you know if this is the case?
As far as I'm aware, yes. But that's 22 episodes, covers 2 seasons.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I just went into it. I wasn't excited about it at all. You know, that I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, cool. Let's Star Trek. I'll check it out. Why not? I really enjoyed this, dude. First of all, the animation is really cool, especially with like the space and ship animation is really cool. And this show made me laugh. This first episode made me really laugh. And I think Star Trek needs humor right now, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised by this. I love the characters in this. It was very funny. It's called Lower Decks. It's the support crew serving one of the Starfleet's least important ships, the USS Cerritos. And they have to keep up with their duties. And while the ship is often being rocked by a multitude of sci-fi anomalies, that's what it says on IMDb. But what's very funny is that when you're watching the opening credits and you see the USS Cerritos kind of cruising around, you see them come up on like a Borg like Wolf 359 type war, and it like turns around and takes off.
Well, I love the scene too where you see the ship and it's just coming in the screen and then it keeps going and there's some kind of alien life form on it.
Yes.
The opening is because they're trying to do the classic magical Trek opening, but disaster ensues everywhere.
You get these weird, and you see them all on the actual lower decks of the ship, and they're all of their they have bunk beds like right next to like it kind of reminded me a little bit of the way Starship Troopers was,
Yeah.
where you get to see where everyone else sleeps because there's a hallway that goes right through it.
Yeah.
But I think the captain of the USS Cerrito, and then her relationship with her admiral husband at the very end of this episode was hilarious.
Yes. But I'm going to do that to you at the end of this. What are you talking about? Well,
Oh
okay.
my gosh. This is a fresh a breath of fresh air for Star
Okay.
Trek in my mind. And it is giving me the much needed humor just in general that we need, but out of Star Trek, I absolutely love it so
Okay,
far. First episode, I'm sold.
So you can't talk about this without giving serious props to, and this is what sold me on it, was the voice actors in this. Tammy Newsome as Ensign Mariner, Jack Quaid, who is Ensign Bulmer, and yes, he is related to that Quaid family. He is Randy
Wait, the
Quaid's
what family?
He is Randy Quaid's son.
Okay. There you go.
Noel Wells as Ensign Tendi, and Eugene Cordero as Ensign Rutherford.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about Jerry O'Connell. He's very funny in this. But yeah, and Phil Lamar is the Admiral. I love that. I'm glad that he's back. So yeah, and Paul Shearer. I love Paul Shearer as well. He's in it. So I'm looking forward to the next one. This was very funny. And now I'm not a Rick and Morty fan. I have not watched the show. I remember seeing maybe one episode or parts of it. Honestly, I think the animation is better than Rick and Morty from what I've seen. The fast kind of banter talk thing that I guess Rick and Morty is known for that, you get that as well, and I think it's done very well, at least in this first episode. I'm excited.
Yeah, that aspect of it. Yeah, Rick and Morty. There's some episodes that are outstanding. Some episodes I'm like, can I just get through this, please?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's great.
I have to interrupt for something, Kevin, because I know you're not a huge hockey fan, but the hockey playoffs, NHL playoffs started today, and I just got a flash on my watch. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Columbus Blue Jackets are starting quadruple overtime.
Wow.
Okay.
How many games did they play this year? Like 20?
Well, no, they actually almost finished their season before COVID hit.
Okay.
But they've been doing a bubble thing too and stuff. But I'm like, quadruple overtime. I think anybody would get that and go, wow, okay. So next we have, I'm sticking with the retro, Kevin, and this just happened literally by happenstance. So I flip on Amazon Prime thinking, oh, let's see what's on Amazon. And right there in front of me for free to watch, it has ads, is the Dukes of Hazzard. Now, when I was a little kid, because the Dukes of Hazzard ran from like 79, I think, to 86. So, this is me 6 to 10 range.
Right.
So the General Lee, bows and arrows, later on Daisy Duke, when once I could start understanding the full ramifications of Daisy Duke.
Yeah, and her Daisy Duke shorts.
Yep. This was just a fun show. The cars are jumping all over the place and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I haven't watched this in forever. Let me revisit part of my childhood. And you know what? I know there's been other things about this show, and I'm not going into there. When you just take it for what it is, it's a fun show. It's silly. It's silly. It is what it is. But you know what? It's fun. You just have a good time with it. You have a few now more laughs about just how dated at certain aspects of it are.
Yeah, and those incredible unrealistic jumps.
Yeah. You wonder just how many General Lees they actually really went through, but
yes.
And some of the green screen backgrounds and when in the driving scenes and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I will tell you what, the thing I enjoyed more out of this than anything outside of Daisy Duke, Waylon Jennings as the narrator.
Yeah. What a golden voice he's got, man.
He is so good as a narrator, and some of the lines he throws out are just perfect. And I had forgotten something about the Dukes of Hazzard. It was actually based off of a movie, Kevin.
Dukes of Hazzard, really?
Yeah, It was actually based off a movie about moonshiners called Moonrunners. It came out in 1975. And yes, Roscoe Coltrane was a character in that film.
How funny. I did not know that.
They played him more seriously in that film, but he was a character in that film.
Interesting. I want to shout out the chat real quick. First of all, Nathaniel saw the first episode, and he says it has, I think he's talking about Star Trek Lower Decks. He says it has potential. But Dave Feeling, make sure you check it out. And he also said Nathaniel said the best theme is from TNG. That's a good theme. It's a good theme. Yeah.
It's a good theme.
Also, too, he mentioned, and this is something I actually am very interested in revisiting. Briscoe County Jr. He said is on IMDb TV on Amazon as well for free. Highly recommended. I loved Briscoe County Jr. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Had Trek alumni John Delancey in that.
Oh come on, it was our man Bruce.
Yeah.
Have you got him to officiate your wedding yet?
Working on it.
So but like I said, it was fun to go back to that retro Dukes of Hazzard. And you know what? It's a fun, simple. Turn it on, enjoy it. It is what it is, and take it for that. And I think more people need to do that these days. So, but Kevin, you are going to give us an update of your Buffy rewatch with the lovely Erin Gill.
Yeah, my fiance Erin and I, we've decided to do a rewatch of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I've been wanting to do this with her for a while because this is her favorite TV show. She loves Buffy. And so we watched the first season, got caught up on that, and we've just started the second season, and we are about 3 or 4 episodes in. This is, of course, where Buffy really starts to kick it in. This is some of the best Buffy episodes that we kind of start having to come up as well. And then we get the introduction, or we get the regular Angel Boreanaz. He's now a regular on this, and then, but we also get the introduction of Spike and Oz, which is really cool. So
Andrew Silla.
Yes. So I'm really excited about this. Right now, I just finished watching the Inca Mummy Girl and Reptile Boy, where Buffy and Cordelia attend the first frat where they are offered a human sacrifice to a reptile-like creature. So yeah, and I'm really excited because the next one is the Halloween episode that's coming up. So yeah.
Okay, Kevin, I have to ask, as guys here,
yes,
apologizing to the ladies, but I got to do this. Was Charisma Carpenter hotter than Sarah Michelle Gellar at this point?
She's a cutie, but yeah, Sarah Michelle's always been the one that I've always found attractive. But then Willow in certain episodes later on.
Yeah. Well, your whole
charisma's pretty, but yeah, she wasn't my crush. My crush was Buffy, and
there was also the lovely Jenny Calendar.
But my favorite though is Faith.
Oh yeah, well, Elijah Dushku.
Dushku, yes.
Come on, we all looked at Willow differently after American Pie and Bang.
Yes, this is very true. So anyway, yeah, having fun doing a Buffy rewatch.
And Kevin, apparently I'm going to need to send you to the dentist.
Yes, the next thing I streamed, my daughter Camille, she turned me onto the show, and we've been watching it through FaceTime together because obviously she's not here in California right now. So she's like, hey, Daddy, I want to watch this show. It's really cool. You should check it out. I've watched a couple of episodes. It's called Sugar Rush, Extra Sweet. It's a Netflix original series. And basically, it's a cooking show, a reality game show, cooking show, a baking competition with 4 teams, 3 rounds, 2 cakes, and 1 winner of $10,000. And the concept is you got 4 teams, which are 4 pairs. There's 2 people, whether they're family or they work together, they're in the show. And there's 3 rounds. And the first round is you got to make some cupcakes. Second round is you got to make some type of confections, which is a dish or delicacy made with some sweet ingredients. And then there's the cake round. And the way that it works is you got your host, and then you got your 3 judges, your panel of 3 judges, and you have the 2 judges, which are always the same, and then the one's kind of a guest that rotates and stuff like that. And then what happens is there's a timer, and you have a certain amount of time to do the first thing, and the first team that hits their thing, they're ready. They have to make 6 versions of whatever it is, because 4 goes to the host and the judges, and then the other 2, I guess, go to the camera crew to take up close shots. And then after everyone's done with the first round, they vote to see who is the winner, and that winner has a choice. Either you get to add 15 minutes to the cake round at the end, or you can take $1,500. So you get your choice. The eventual winner does get $10,000, and then after each round, someone gets eliminated, and it makes you so hungry watching this, and it's very creative. And each show has a theme. The last one was a magician, and he was one of the I don't know his name. I don't know if he's a famous one or not, but they had to do like magic related stuff. And like the cake thing, they had to use magnets to make something levitate like it was magic. And it was really cool.
Interesting. Yeah, shows like this are bad because like I'll go over to my parents' house and my mom always has like the Food Network on or the Cooking Channel, and I'm
Right.
just like, oh, now that I'm come over here and I've been here for half an hour, I'm starving.
They're making stuff I've never seen before. It's very creative. Yes, it makes you hungry, and you see stuff done with sweets and foods you've never seen before. And these chefs they have on are very, very good. And sometimes it's funny to see when stuff like collapses and doesn't quite go according to plan. It's interesting. So
Well, Kevin, the last thing you have, apparently you put yourself in quite a pickle.
yeah. Yes. By the way, Sugar Rush is on Netflix, so make sure I recommend it. Stream it, check it out. But yes, the next one is An American Pickle movie, which is on HBO Max, and it stars Seth Rogen, and also he's one of the writers as well. It's about an immigrant worker at a pickle factory is accidentally preserved for 100 years and wakes up in modern day Brooklyn. And it's about Seth Rogen is telling a story about family and also Jewish tradition. And of course, he's Jewish himself, and and he plays both the roles. And so you see this family that's in like 1885, back in Europe in their Jewish city, and then they immigrate to New York, Brooklyn area at the turn of the century. And he finds love, and he's working at a pickle factory, and he falls into this vat, and no one notices it. It gets sealed up, and then shortly after the building gets like sold or condemned or whatever, and it sticks around for 100 years. It's very silly, but it's a great way to bring this character back into current day Brooklyn, where we meet Seth Rogen's character, who is a distant relative. And so this person who his great grandfather, who he plays as well, is obviously a fish out of water story. But it starts to really zero in around how the current day Seth Rogen character, whose name is Ben Greenbaum, where his new relative that's now 100 years later, Herschel, he's not tied into his Jewish roots. And he's kind of struggling app designer, and Herschel, who is figuring out why you don't have pictures of your family. And so it's a really cool story. It's a good drama. It has its humor as well. Seth was really good in this, especially when he plays Herschel, the guy stuck out of time. And they both kind of there's that scene in the film where they're at odds and they try to hurt each other in one way or another. And then they kind of come together, and it's a really, really cool film. I was impressed with Seth and his acting in this. He's not his like crazy Seth like we're normally seeing in other films. Highly recommended. It's really good. An American Pickle. Well done.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because I gotta be honest with you. I've been a little burned out on Seth Rogen because it seems like every film he's just basically playing a slightly different version of the same character.
He does. This one, he dials it down for both characters. You really buy him as Herschel Greenbaum, this guy who got frozen in time for so long, and he kind of became a little internet sensation and celebrity of what happened. And when they try to explain the science of what happened and how he got preserved, he's at a press conference, and they just kind of go, yeah, but when the scientists finally described how it was, everyone was fine with it.
Okay, then. Well, on that note, before I get pickled, we're going to take a quick break here so we can get ready to open up the doors to the Fandom Hall of Fame.
This podcast, we like to continue to feed your ears by inviting you to listen to the Fandom Podcast Network and all of the other awesome shows we have to offer. It starts with our flagship show, Culture Clash, our weekly pop culture news podcast. Blood Kings, our Highlander podcast. Couch Potato Theater, our podcast celebrating our favorite movies. Time Warp, the Fandom Flashback podcast discussing a year in movies and our favorite pop culture topics. End Zone, the NFL podcast. Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast. Union Federation, our Star Trek and Orville podcast. Hair Metal, the 80s and early 90s rock metal podcast. Type 40, our Doctor Who podcast. Lethal Mullet, a 1980s and 90s action film podcast. What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast. And our newest show, Making Treks, a new Star Trek podcast with a deep dive into the final frontier with host Mark Newbold and Adam P. O'Brien. You can enjoy all of these great Fandom Podcast Network shows on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. Fandom Podcast Network is also on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. You can also find us on Facebook under Fandom Podcast Network. You can also email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter under Fandom Podcast Network. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom.
So Kyle, we got some comments here on the feed here.
Okay.
on
For
YouTube Live.
first, I have to say, whoever it is that reads that promo is a true professional. Can I find do you think he would want to take your chair?
Sure, I hear he's very handsome.
I'll check with that. I've heard rumors, but you know.
So I want to go back to the American Pickle because Jennifer made a comment there in the chat, and because you're wondering, like, so you've got Seth Rogen playing his great grandfather and then himself, but his great grandfather has this really big beard. And so you're wondering if they were doing a stand-in or if they were doing like a side-by-side thing. And she's saying they filmed it twice. The first one he filmed with the beard and then he shaved and they went back and refilmed the entire film, which I find interesting. I was kind of curious how they did that because they did a great job of putting them both together in the same room. It was flawlessly done. So it was very, very cool. So there you go.
Yeah. So Kevin, once again, it's time to open up the doors to the Fandom Hall of Fame. Now, last week, we let our furry friends in. Luckily, we gave them all flea treatments first, so we're good.
I would say one of those favorite live action animals from TVs and movies. One of them was one of the John Wick dogs, and I'm holding one up here on the camera so YouTubers can see that. Look, he's so cute, a little pitty. Look at him, yes.
Well, this week I came up with the idea, and you absolutely loved it. We are diving into the animated TV shows that might belong.
And animated TV series, yes.
Now, at first we were just talking cartoons, but then I realized, one, I could go anime crazy on that, and I don't want to do that because that's a Hall of Fame all to its own. Just as animated feature films are a category all.
Yes.
So we decided to go with TV series on this. And we did invoke the Kyle rule, which is I'm allowed one anime title for this list. So we've got that. Kevin, there's a lot of stuff out there. This was kind of overwhelming when you went back and started thinking about it.
Oh, dude, tell me about it, man. Yeah, I was wondering how big this list was going to be, but I had to stick to my guns and stick to my favorites that were me. And we're going to mention obviously a lot of our favorites and honorable mentions, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're not going to mention. But I did put a thread out there on Facebook. I'm going to read some of those as well. We'll go through that. But yeah, there's so many of these TV series, Kyle. It was a little bit overwhelming.
Well, and I was like, for me, when I came up with this list, with my list of nominations too, it was stuff I enjoyed, but I also try to think of the historical significance of some of these shows because there's some animated shows out there that really, truly do not only have a significance in animation, but just in television history in general.
Oh yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So with that, let's run down some honorable mentions for the Fandom Hall of Fame, Kevin.
Yeah, so just to remind people, we have 7 spots for that. We have our nominations, and I picked my 7 nominations. You picked your 7 nominations. We have 7 spots for the cartoons that will go into the Fandom Hall of Fame of cartoons and animated series. But first, we are going to talk about our honorable mentions that didn't make our nomination list. So you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll run down a few here. First one that comes to mind for me is X-Men, the animated series. Now, this one has an interesting history as it actually had its debut over Thanksgiving weekend of the year it came out, and then it disappeared. And it disappeared, and it disappeared. And it was almost a full year later that they finally started airing X-Men, the animated series, on our scheduled time frame for Fox.
Was it really like that? Wow.
Yeah, it was, but it's got a huge cult following. Some people might call it the best Marvel animated series ever. I have another one in mind for that, which I'll get to here soon. But yes, X-Men the animated series. Another one, Thundercats. Ho! He's got to do it. I mean, you had the high quality of animation in this. This kind of picked up where He-Man kind of filled that He-Man void, because He-Man was kind of
Snarf.
Yeah, well, we don't talk about Snarf. However, we will talk about we will talk about the ultra coolness of Panthro all day long.
That show didn't do it for me, man.
Oh.
I was not a Thundercats fan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Although the female one was kind of cute.
A little Chitara action.
Chitara, yes.
You don't let them fool you. Kevin was all in on the My Little Pony and Gem.
Yeah, right. Okay, maybe a little bit, Jim.
There we go. I want to throw out a couple more of the more modern things. This came close to being on my nominations list, but just I couldn't find room for it. But Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think this was the animated series for a lot of kids when this
I never watched that. I just didn't avoid it. It kind of came out when I wasn't watching cartoons like that, I guess.
An original Nickelodeon series, an incredibly smart storyline, beautiful style done, and in kind of an anime style. Had a spin-off show, The Legend of Korra, which has a really interesting history to it itself and a very hardcore following. But yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and two more on the kind of the mature side of animation. Obviously, South Park. And I'm sure there are people screaming, "How can that not be on your nomination list?" There's a reason for that. And Rick and Morty, even though we talked about it a little earlier, you cannot deny the popularity of Rick and Morty and what it has done in a short span of time.
Yeah, I need to watch a few of those episodes just to kind of get a better idea what that show's about, because everyone says I would like it. So
yeah.
We talk about South Park here. What's the deal?
South Park, iconic show, up to it's in its 20s in its season, adult humor all the way around. But to me, there's a show that's in my nomination list that really, if you don't have that show, you don't have South Park.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So
everyone was watching South Park the first several seasons. Everyone was on it. Yeah. I kind of grew out of it personally. I was like kind of done with it, but man, they weren't afraid to grapple the recent topics of things and just take them and go over the line.
Hey, all I have to say, oh my God, I killed Kevin.
Yes, exactly.
Of course, I know it's Kenny, but
Yeah.
Well, give me some of your honorable mentions here, Mr. Reitzel.
All right, I'll give you a throw out here. Super Friends from 73 to 86. I did watch that show. I wasn't a big superhero person, but you could not avoid Super Friends, So
okay,
I did.
A question for you on Super Friends.
Yes.
Are you more of a what was it? I can't remember the woman's name, but it was Wendy and Marvin or the Wonder Twins?
The Wonder Twins. I was all about the Wonder Twins, man.
Kevin, you love Gleek. Just admit it.
Gleek was entertaining, but yeah, there's just something weird about Wonder Twins, or one was an animal and then like some type of water or ice, which I thought was kind of a, I think he got the crappy end of the powers there, but they made it work. So yeah. So Dungeons and Dragons from 83 to 85. Willie Ames is one of the voice in that. And that kind of opened my mind up to Dungeons and Dragons. I'd heard about the game, but I never really did it. And I really enjoyed the animation. I enjoyed that. The Tom and Jerry TV series starting in 1940. There was like 161 episodes. They're all around 8 minutes each. And they last, there were so many of them that came out, but I loved Tom and Jerry, dude. I was always like Jerry was the mouse.
Yeah.
I was always rooting for the mouse. But then as I got older, I was like, nah, I'm a Tom guy now. What about you? Because remember, they were like against each other and then they became friends.
I always thought Jerry was a little bit of an a-hole person.
Yeah.
I guess got mentioned too on Dungeons and Dragons. I've watched that recently. The animation on that still holds up to this day.
Yeah. It was
it had a little bit more of an adult theme to it, even though it was a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, definitely. So then another one I'll throw out to you before I go back to you is Family Guy. Dude, it's like still going on. It went from 1999 to 2000, got canceled, got hot on DVD, came back in 2005, and it hasn't looked back.
I think Family Guy, again, very unique with that situation. My problem with Family Guy at this point is it just runs the jokes into the ground.
It does, but it got so many guest stars. It also tackled uncomfortable stuff, and I just love the pop culture references. I don't watch it anymore. I kind of got my fix, but it was an important show.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what else you got?
Well, I'm going to go back because it's time to visit Eternia with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Ah, yes.
I mean, this was this was the show that really was responsible for finally breaking up the toy cartoon ban.
That's right. Yeah, explain.
Well, for a long time, you couldn't have a cartoon series based off of toys because they felt it was manipulative. It was basically a half-hour ad for the toy line.
Yeah, but that's what the toy lines were doing. You know, they were trying to cross promote. So yeah, they cross promoted on each other's shows, right?
Yeah, exactly. So what ended up happening was Ronald Reagan changed how that could work with the FCC, and the first show to really take advantage of that was Filmation with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. G.I. Joe had kind of started with some little bit of short pieces of animation in their toy ads, but He-Man was the first series to really pick up and go with it.
Ah, gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
And
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick too is Walmart has just recently re-released retro figures of Masters of the Universe, and they're actually pretty sharp looking.
Yeah, I saw the Evil Lynn the other day, and that actually looked pretty cool. And I had to give a shout out to Evelyn, our friend, Aaron's friend, and our friend in Australia, whose nickname is Evil. A little shout out to the chat here on YouTube. I just want to mention that Jennifer thinks that there should be a Kevin rule, only one Raiders reference per show per episode. Yeah, I don't think so.
If I could eliminate them all, I would, but
I want to give a shout out to Dave Fielding because it is like very late there in the UK, and he's staying up to watch us. So thank you. He gave Thundercats absolute worth a mention. Nathaniel said he forgot TMNT on the Facebook list, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he also said, I lived in South Park for 12 years and didn't need to watch it.
There we go. And so I want to get back to a few of my honorable mentions here, Kevin. I'm going to go old school here. The Flintstones, the first ever primetime animated television show, the Jetsons, and Scooby-Doo.
I was more of a Jetsons guy than a Flintstones guy. Even though I watched both, I really enjoyed the Jetsons. But it was nice that you got, the both ends of the time pool there,
And of course, Scooby-Doo, as long as we're talking about anything before Scrappy-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, where are you?
Kevin Shaggy Reitzel, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I've got one more too, and I want to bring this up. I consider this the greatest Marvel animated series of all time, and that is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Oh, yes. Yes.
A couple of historical things about this. The first time you actually ever see the modern version of the X-Men animated on television.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
You also got a lot of Marvel mainstays in this, but also one of the characters created exclusively for that show is Firestar, who became a very big part of Marvel Comics much later on.
Exclusive to that show, and then
was created for that show specifically.
Obviously, a popular character. I don't know who Firestar is.
A popular character, but she kind of went. Think of Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn was actually on Batman the Animated Series before she was ever in the comics.
Gotcha. Very cool. Nice.
This was pre Harley Quinn doing that. So, Kevin, throw me out a few more of your honorable mentions.
Robot Chicken, different type of animation, but it's animation, man. And I love Robot Chicken, especially with their like Star Wars and G.I. Joe references, and using all those classic, action figures to animate their funny series. Speed Racer, man, who didn't love the Mach 5? Love that. From 66 to 68 that aired and just kept repeating. Schoolhouse Rock, man.
Conjunction Junction.
What's your function? Or I'm a Bill on Capitol Hill. I mean, just
shot her around the world.
Yeah,
start of the revolution.
Classic shorts.
Kevin, if we're gonna talk Schoolhouse Rock, 3 is the magic number.
3 is the magic number. Yes. Ready Player One reference. I like that. That's good. Also, hey, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
I love that show, but we have to look at it so differently now.
Yeah, I know. But at the time, though, that was such a great show.
Oh, yeah,
it was. I loved the cast there, and but yeah, Anyway, next we're gonna go on with Beavis and Butthead. Cornholio.
I need some TP for my bunghole.
Gosh, yeah, I remember in Santa Barbara. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the animation festival. Help me out, Jennifer. Do you remember? Midnight Festival showing all of these kind of obscure cartoons, adult theme. That's where Bambi versus Godzilla was, and that is where Beavis and Butthead were born, playing frog baseball, man. But yeah, gosh, I can't remember. Help me out, Jennifer, if you remember the name of that animation series.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
Shut up, Beavis.
But yeah, it was a midnight thing, and they would show all these cool things and stuff. So yeah, that's there you go. What else do I have here? Battle of the Planets. Loved Battle of the Planets. G-Force, yeah, 78 through 85. And I'm going to throw out a couple more here. Voltron, Defender of the Universe, 84 to 85, and Mask, 85. There you go. What else you got?
I'm going to Time Warp because I'm going a little Spider-Man, but I'm going Spider-Man 1960s version.
Yes.
One of the greatest cartoon theme songs of all time.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
So, the real Ghostbusters.
That was confusing. What?
There was a whole thing with this where there was the old school from like the 50s and 60s Ghostbusters TV series that had an ape and a couple old kind of a comedy, old school style, like Laurel and Hardy ghost story kind of comedy. Well, they claimed the rights to Ghostbusters and created an animated series based off of it. So, okay, no problem. We've got the real Ghostbusters,
which was based off the 80s hit movie. So yeah.
Yeah. And if you remember in that series, Arsenio Hall did the voice for Winston Zeddemore.
I did not know that.
And also the late, great Lorenzo Music, who will ever be known as the voice of Garfield in animation circles, also did the voice of the great Peter Venkman.
Very cool. Nice. So, very nice.
A little more modern, the Powerpuff Girls. They kind of started a whole new trend on the Cartoon Network.
So I never watched the series, but when I was living in Virginia, in downtown Norfolk, where I was working for Decipher, the card game company, there was a bunch of us that were, and I think my friend Charles was with me, but we were going to do one of those theater switching things. We were going to pay to see one movie and then sneak into some other ones. And they wanted to, they all wanted to go see Powerpuff Girls. I was like, all right, I'll go, but they started showing like a different film. And then one of them had to call the manager and the projector guy, and they're like, oh, we're sorry, go to this theater and play it there. But then he saw us and kind of recognized us. And so like, we can't watch the other movies now. And it was all right.
Yeah. There you go. Another cartoon.
Hold on. Don't say that one there, because that is on my list.
Okay, well, I wasn't going with that one there.
Okay.
But this is another Cartoon Network staple, and that is Samurai Jack.
Samurai Jack. I never watched that. Never did.
It is phenomenal.
That's what I hear.
It is so well done. But lastly, for me, you remember what I said about the Spider-Man's theme song being one of the greatest animated theme songs ever?
Yes.
The greatest animated theme song is "Life is Like a Hurricane in Duckburg," and I'm talking about DuckTales. Woo!
DuckTales. Yes.
And I apologize to the watchers and the people who listen to the podcast for what I just did. I swear I apologize.
Nathaniel, by the way, said Wallace and Gromit. Dave Fielding.
Absolutely.
What it says. Dave said, I know her mainly from the New Warriors, Firestar. That is. Mm-hmm. Also, what do we got here? Celebrity Deathmatch. Nathaniel said.
Oh, yes. Another MTV classic.
Yes.
Speaking of MTV classics, Kevin, you got a couple that basically just tie in together on your honorable mention list.
Yes. Okay. Let me get to here. We got, of course, Aeon Flux, which started, was that, and I did mention Liquid Television as well.
Aeon Flux got its start on Liquid Television.
Yes, Liquid Television went from 91 to 94. Aeon Flux went from 91 to 95. That was just really cool. That was like the cool cartoons. Yeah. It was like for the adults,
The two I remember greatly most from Aeon Flux or from Liquid Television was Aeon Flux and another one called The Head.
Oh yeah. Not Herman's Head.
No, The Head. Also, which reminds me, a quick shout out to another HBO series that would have been on Liquid Television had it still existed at the time, was the rendering of the Max based off the Sam Keith Max comic on MTV. Very, very good.
Nathaniel also said in the chat, Space Ghost. Dave, you got excited about that? Yeah. So there you go.
You got a couple more here, Kevin?
Yes, I do. The original Star Trek animated series, from 73 to 74, kind of got lost in time for a while, but you had the original cast of the original series voicing everything, and it's kind of had a second life on DVD and Blu-ray, and now we have a new animated Star Trek series, so it kind of has come full circle. And if you're a Star Trek fan, diehard fan, you got to check that out. The Venture Brothers, man, I've stopped watching it, but I watched the first four or five seasons. I love the Venture Brothers. Very, very funny. The creators of the Venture Brothers have a panel every year at Dragon Con, and they sign autographs, and they're great. Also, Star Wars Droids from 85 to 86. Still love that series. Still waiting for a proper DVD release of all the series. There was 14 episodes. They did release a DVD series of the, I think, 3 of the episodes, but they were all back to back related. So they made them like a feature length film, and getting a little harder to find that now in DVD, but I wish they would release that because it was voiced by Anthony Daniels. And you also had a Boba Fett appearance in that as well. And there's some really rare figures that came out for Droids as well.
Weird animation style, though.
Yeah, I loved it, though. And then you had the great theme song, which was produced by Stuart Copeland from The Police. It's such a fun series. I absolutely love it. It kind of felt a little heavy metalish when it came to the animation style. So yeah.
One more I just want to throw out too as an honorable mentions is Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I'm a big fan of this show. This is for you, Norman Lau. One of the key writers on this show was J. Michael Straczynski.
There you go. So yeah.
So well, Kevin, should we? No, go ahead.
I was going to mention before we go ahead and give our nominations, should we leave the post that I did on Facebook? I want to read people's comments. Can we do that first?
Sure.
Okay.
No, do you want? Yeah, let's do that first.
Yeah, we'll do that first. So we got a lot of really cool comments here. Jennifer, of course, said new school or old school. I said all of it. She said old school, Looney Tunes, specifically Bugs. New school, anything my cousin edits, which is comprised of DC Universe and Scooby. And yes, I am biased. Besides Scooby-Doo, he has edited episodes of Justice League Action and Young Justice. I forgot about this series. I remember it vaguely, but my buddy Dan Noble in the Finest G.I. Joe group, he says Monchichis for life.
Oh God.
And I was like, wait, what's that? And he put the picture up, a really obscure and terrible cartoon. And the guy went, oh my God. And then he said, unfortunately for me, I can vividly remember the theme song.
I can throw out something that I bet you I'll be curious to see in the chat. And then look up Saturday Supercade.
Saturday Supercade?
Yes.
That's not jogging memory. So
this was a CBS thing. It was an anthology series based off of old classic video games at the time. There was a Q*bert show, a Donkey Kong show, a Kangaroo show, and one other. Plus, CBS also spun off a pole position show out of this.
I do remember that.
I believe there was a Frogger show as well.
Scott Botman, of course, our co-host there on the What a Piece of Junk Star Wars podcast on the network, says G.I. Joe, Transformers, G1, and SpongeBob SquarePants are my top 3. Thundercats are really great too. This is a series that I have not gotten into that I want to watch. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, so let me know. But Matthew Clifton said Gargoyles.
Oh, Gargoyles is wonderful. Gargoyles should have been in my honorable mention. It is the most underrated Disney show of all time.
Is it on Disney Plus?
It is on Disney Plus.
Okay, I got to check that out.
A lot of next generation voice talent in that.
Okay, yeah. Jonathan Frakes was in that.
Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis did a voice. Michael Dorn came and did a voice, and of course the legendary Keith David as Goliath.
Gotcha. Matthew also did a GIF. I think it's ATLA. Is that Last Airbender?
Yeah, the last Avatar,
Yep.
the last.
Gotcha. Avatar. And then Matt said also any of the Bruce Timm DC shows, but Beyond was really special to me.
Yeah, Batman Beyond was a phenomenal.
Oh, that's a
series.
cool gift that he did there. That's
Mhm.
cool. And then, of course, Matthew Clifton said duh and double duh. Star Wars, the Clone Wars animated series.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Then he also went in, said anime is its own genre, but if we're talking best animated shows, I think that is a little bit of Cowboy Bebop he put there.
Mhm.
And Nathaniel White says Futurama is first ballot for me. Others, Mask, Garfield, and Friends. I forgot about that.
I love Garfield and Friends.
Freakazoid. He says Lower Decks has promise. Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I remember that. Darkwing Duck, Gummy Bears. Never saw that, but I did see.
Gummy Bears is on Disney Plus, Kevin. You must watch Gummy Bears.
Okay, I've seen the song and stuff.
The song
and
is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Song gets in your head and forget it. You're done.
I'm a gummy bear. Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, it's not even that. You're not even close. Let's go
Okay.
watch it.
Smurfs, he
Yeah.
said, and Simpsons as well. So
Yep.
now Dave Fielding said, I don't think I've ever seen this show, but he put a link to the cool intro. Ulysses 31,
It's an
fondest
anime.
childhood memory, Arabian Nights, size of an elephant, and
Mhm.
other fond memories, Battle of the Planet. Do you remember Ulysses 31?
I don't. I've seen it at conventions, but it's an old school anime series. Never really made it here in the States, but I know it was very popular in Australia and the UK.
That's why
and
then.
everything.
Okay. Yeah. Dave, I got to check this out, man. I'm not familiar with it. So there you go. Oh, by the way, Nathaniel said, is anyone betting against Kevin as G.I. Joe is his number one? Well, we'll see. By the way, he also said Betty Boop.
Oh
There you
yeah.
go. That's good.
I want to throw out an obscure one too, since we're talking about Ulysses. Another one I was a big fan of was called Thunderbirds 2086. It was an anime series where they kind of way modernized into the future the classic Thunderbirds theme.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Dave also said, Dave Feelings, I also have a soft spot for the classic Spider-Man cartoon. To call it animation is almost too generous, but it spawned an iconic theme and introduced many to Spidey. Is it very dated? Is it?
It's
The animation?
Oh, the animation is beyond. Well, you saw Spider-Verse, remember at the end of it?
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Dave Fielding also said honorable mentions He-Man and Thundercats. And of course, my friend Aaron Head Moss, who does the podcast for G.I. Joe, A Real American Headcast, talking about the original Marvel series and cartoon, says, I'm going to pick Yo Joe. Dave also said for us Brits, is that 12:30 a.m. that we'll be recording? Yes, it is. And he's still up. So thank you, Dave.
You're the man, Dave.
Evelyn Hamlet, aka Evil. Oh my God.
Can I guess that the words Neon Genesis Evangelion are somewhere on that list?
Here we go. She says, oh my God, I can't even pick. It's like choosing your favorite child. If I had to pick childhood favorites, it would be He-Man and She-Ra, Astro Boy, Robotech, Sailor Moon, Real Monsters, Rugrats, early seasons only, Rainbow Bright, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 80s to 90s, Rocco's Modern Life,
A lot of the Nickelodeon stuff. A lot of
Cat
good stuff there.
Dog, Hey Arnold, DuckTales, Twins of Destiny, special mention to Chipmunks, because that's the first movie I can remember ever going to, and I still have the Born to Rock vinyl.
Oh man!
Sean Shaw said King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. My buddy Lee, co-host our Bloody Kings Highlander podcast, said Pirates of Darkwater.
That was very underrated.
I've never seen that.
That
Never
was a
seen
good
that.
show.
Thundercats, Thundar.
Oh, I love Thundar.
Yep. Johnny
Props to
Quest. I remember Johnny Quest.
Oh, yeah.
Venture Brothers. Boondocks.
Oh, Boondocks is insane.
He also said Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is a show I should have mentioned too. I didn't see all of it. I got to get back into watching, and that's Archer.
Yeah.
I saw the first 2 seasons. He said G.I. Joe, Transformers, The 7 Cities of Gold. Never seen that.
Not Mysterious Cities of Gold.
Mysterious Cities of Gold.
That's
And
a good
Belle
one.
and Sebastian.
Not sure on that one, but our Mysterious Cities of Gold. Yeah, that's a great series.
Ryan also put a nice little gift there, and that is Star Wars Rebels.
Oh yeah, can't
Yes.
forget Chopper.
And he also did Speed Racer. And please remind me, Kyle and Ryan, I apologize. What's the Kung Fu dog?
Oh, Hong Kong Fooey, number 1
Hong
super
Kong
guy.
Fooey. Thank you. Yes, he did Hong Kong Fooey.
Hong Kong Fooey.
Ryan went on to say, of course, Clone Wars and Rebels, obviously, Speed Racer, The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest was epic in the 90s. I remember this series. I didn't watch it though. Exo Squad was a great series.
That's actually, you can find that on the new Peacock app, and that's one of those series that was a lot more mature than you realize.
You said the story was awesome. So yeah,
the story is amazing.
He also said DuckTales, Tailspin, Centurions.
Power Extreme.
I remember that. The Bionic Six.
Oh, Bionic Six that's always an interesting one to discuss.
And G.I. Joe. We really had better cartoons.
Yes, we did. I'm not going to even argue. There's no argument there.
So thank you guys for all. And if we get more, we'll mention them on the next episode of Culture Clash. So there you go.
Well, let's get into the nominations, Mr. Reitzel.
Now we have a Hall of Fame. Are we going to say that right now, or are we going to wait till the end?
We can do that now, or we can wait till the end. What do you let
your choice this time? What do you want to do?
Let's go ahead and get the Hall of Fame out of the way, because I think it's too iconic to let.
Okay. So we've chosen one as a walk-in Hall of Fame, no debates about it whatsoever. They get the spot first, walk through the doors.
What's up, Doc? Because it's Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes, baby.
You can't argue Bugs. You can't argue Daffy. You can't argue the Coyote and the Roadrunner. So many classic characters.
Elmer Fudd.
Yosemite Sam. Even the new
Foghorn Leghorn.
Even the new Looney Tunes episodes on HBO Max are really well done. They're quite enjoyable. I have not seen
them.
But yeah, Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. Daffy as Robin Hood. Yoicks and away.
My favorite was the Roadrunner, the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. I love those.
Oh yeah. In fact,
that's another thing too, where like when you're younger, you're all about the Roadrunner, and then as you get older, you're like, he's kind of a jerk too. I'm a Wile E. Coyote guy now. I wish he had gotten more of his revenge.
All I know is I wish I would have had some of Wile E. Coyote's stock in Acme products.
God, I know, right? He had the coolest toys. I swear to God. Yes.
In fact, Farscape did a great spoof of Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote during its run. So yes, Looney Tunes, without a doubt. Bugs, obviously. Rabbit season, duck season, wabbit season, duck season. Yep. Can't go wrong. Looney Tunes. You are.
Would you say Bugs Bunny is the most iconic of all of them?
I think it's him or Daffy. But I think it's probably Bugs.
Yeah.
But I think Daffy's is up there.
We got to give it up to Mel Blanc.
Yeah.
Probably the best voice actor of cartoons of all time. He was just amazing, and he was such a huge inspiration to a lot of those that are carrying on this wonderful mantle now.
Yeah. So, well, let's get into the nominations now. Since I introduced the first ballot Hall of Famer, Kevin, let's let you have the first nomination.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get one of the big ones out of the way right now. Okay. I'm just going to say The Simpsons. The Simpsons started on the Tracy Ullman show, and it's been going for 31 years.
Now a Disney property.
Now a Disney property. Yes, they had a movie as well. So hip in pop culture, so many great guest stars, so many great characters. I was watching Dan Castellaneta, the guy that does Castanella that does Homer. He was on an episode of with Conan O'Brien, who worked on The Simpsons for a couple of years, and he was telling some great stories and doing the voices, and he's so funny. He's done so many, and Hank Azaria and all of his voices, Yeardley Smith.
Nancy Cartwright, of course, is iconic. Bart Simpson.
Yes, and the fact that this cast is still working together. But do you remember when this show started taking off? It was like maybe 5 or close to 10 years. They all kind of like were doing what like the Friends cast was doing. They all wanted to get like a big pay hike, and they all did it together. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, that was huge. That was huge.
So here's the importance of The Simpsons. The Simpsons, to me, is why South Park isn't on my nominations list, because if you don't have The Simpsons, you definitely don't get South Park.
This is true. Yeah.
The Simpsons changed animation for everybody.
They did.
It really made adult style comedy animation mainstream. And I think Simpsons it changed everything. And Kevin, I have no problem saying The Simpsons needs to go in number 2, joining Looney Tunes.
I'm fine. All right. So we got Looney Tunes, and The Simpsons walks right in.
So
Dude,
Okay.
31 years.
And going strong.
I know they beat some other live action show. What was it?
I think it was
like
MASH.
Gunsmoke, I
Smoke or
think, or
MASH or
something that
something
went
like
on
that.
for a long time. But yeah,
Yeah.
Simpsons goes right on in. Okay, so we got spot for 5 more.
So I am going to throw out Bruce Timm's Batman the Animated Series. This series is historical for so many reasons. First of all, it was the
Who's
first.
Bruce Timms though?
Bruce Timm is the creator of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
He is the creator of basically the current state of DC animation. Without Batman the Animated Series, you don't get Justice League. You don't get Superman the Animated Series. You don't get Batman Beyond. You don't get Young Justice. You don't get a lot of the things that have happened over the last 30 plus years. Batman the Animated Series was meant to be a Saturday morning cartoon, and Fox liked it so much. They made it the first ever comic book cartoon and the first ever animated series meant for children to air on primetime TV since the Flintstones. They aired it on Sunday nights.
Wow.
After The Simpsons on Fox.
Is this the cool Batman series that has that awesome Batmobile car?
Yeah, this is Kevin Conroy voicing Batman.
Gotcha.
voicing
Okay,
Joker.
cool.
It changed everything. It changed how people perceived comic book reading. It changed how people perceived comic book cartoons.
Wow.
I mean, Kevin Conroy, for a lot of people, Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Yeah.
It was mature. It wasn't written down for kids. This might be the greatest comic book cartoon, period.
Gotcha.
So
very cool.
I am throwing that out there as one of my nominations.
All right. My next nomination is Inspector Gadget.
You are all on your own on this one, my friend.
I absolutely loved Inspector Gadget, voiced by Don Adams, who of course was Get Smart, and I loved this series. He was this bumbling detective, of course, with all these gadgets, and of course the real brain was his daughter, and of course Brain the dog. Absolutely love this series. So much fun trying to battling against Dr. Claw, the mysterious Dr. Claw, and Dr. Claw's cat. And I absolutely love this series. Watched it every day. It was up against like G.I. Joe and all those Robotechs and stuff like that. Not a fan, Kyle?
I get where they were trying to kind of do a little bit of the Get Smart kind of thing with it.
Mm-hmm.
I just never really, I had a hard time getting into it. I think it maybe became a little too comical for me at the time, being a kid.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. So, okay. So next up for me on my list, I'm gonna do this now because I have to explain this.
Okay, you're going there. Okay,
I'm going there. I am nominating Robotech. Now, I can hear everybody going already. That's an anime series, Kyle. What are you talking about? Well,
it's anime.
First of all, I'm going to discuss the Robotech loophole and why it can go on this list and not be considered an anime series. If you remember, Robotech was actually three totally different Japanese anime.
Hold on, make sure you clarify of why it's not an anime series.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Robotech was actually in Japan originally 3 totally different anime series. Carl Masick decided I needed to bring over Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, which was an absolute hit and considered to this day one of the gods of anime series. However, it did not have enough episodes for him to be able to sell it to anybody for syndication, because at the time you needed 80 plus episodes to have a syndicated series.
Right.
So what did Carl Masick do? He brought over 2 shows that had a similar style of animation. That was Super Dimensional Fortress Southern Cross, or Super Dimensional Cavalry Southern Cross, and Genesis Climber Mospeada, which became to be known as the New Generation arc of Robotech. He then wrote a script that tied all of 3 of these shows together, added some characters, spliced certain episodes, spliced from one series and put into another series to make things tie in somewhat, created a whole second series that ended up not getting to be able to take off, but he made enough to make a movie out of it in Robotech 2: The Sentinels. So Robotech itself is very much an American product. It just happens to be using Japanese animation as its base, but the script, the writing, the story is all based off of an American script. This was originally written. And if you were to ask me right now, if I were to do an anime Hall of Fame, the Macross Saga, which is known in Japan as Super Dimensional Fortress Macross, would go and be a first ballot Hall of Famer for anime. But as part of Robotech, it is a different monster, and it's something created very much for the U.S. audience. But it's still conquered themes to this day nobody had seen in TV. It is one of the greatest 85 episodes, love story arcs, war stories, alien invasions, everything.
This changed what I learned about cartoons, where you can turn it into a drama. It was basically a soap opera,
Yeah.
And this made me want to keep watching it to find out how the characters were evolving. And of course, at this time, and I was talking with Kyle before we started recording here, we didn't know this word anime unless you were like a little bit older or you were really into the Japanese stuff before it kind of started hitting the 80s. Most people didn't know what the word anime was or what this was and what it was based on. And so when we look at these, we just consider them these after school cartoons is where Robotech was dropping. And then I remember they had the Comico comics that came out that was followed each episode along with that as well. And I loved this series. And knowing the history now of what you were talking about with Carl, what Carl did is absolutely amazing. And, you had Robotech, the Macross Saga, then you had Robotech Masters, and then the new generation. And it's just brilliant. I love this. And I'm fine with making this walk into the Hall of Fame if you are, Kyle.
Put it in at number 3.
All right, Robotech.
Okay, right. Kevin, what do you got next on your list?
All right, hold on. I got to finish writing this in here before I forget. I ran out of ink on that pen there. Okay, so next. Oh, this is going to be interesting here. Okay, so I am going to go with Futurama. Love me some Futurama. This was the other series that came out that gave you a look into the future with a very unique style, a very Simpsons-esque, but then you got the whole future thing with a bunch of great characters, Fry, Leela, everyone, and Fry's this kind of like, loser pizza delivery guy that accidentally gets frozen and then, woken up 500 years later. Very funny story. 1999 to 2013, and a few one-shot movies that came out. Absolutely loved this series. So funny. I love the robots. Bender, one of my favorite characters. Just love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, no, I remember Futurama. It had an interesting history because it was on Fox. It almost got canceled a couple of times. In fact, I think at one point there was episodes that aired on Comedy Central, and then Fox brought it back.
It was canceled, yeah, and then Fox brought it back because they were selling DVDs of it too. It kind of happened. Same thing happened with what happened with Family Guy.
Yeah, so very interesting. I like Futurama. Next on my list, Kevin, is a show that to me has the most iconic character of TV cartoons and maybe the most important character of TV cartoons. And I'm talking about one specific, Optimus Prime and Transformers.
Transformers, man. Yeah. Yep.
Optimus Prime, I'm sorry, is probably the most important animated character of this time frame. I think there are people. Well, okay, let's rewind. Let's go back to just a week ago in time because it was a anniversary of a release of a certain film in the theaters. The death of Optimus
When you say
Prime,
certain film, you mean Transformers.
Transformers, the movie, yes.
Yeah.
The death of Optimus Prime in that film traumatized children.
Yeah.
And I actually read an article recently tying in with the anniversary of this. The reason why they felt so many children were traumatized It was especially, this was in the era of like a lot of latchkey kids and divorced kids. There was a lot of boys, especially, who almost looked at Optimus Prime like a father figure.
Yeah, we were at home. That was the thing in the 80s. You know, you latchkey kids, you'd come home from the school bus, you'd be home alone in the house, the parents not home from work kid, and maybe you had a lot of single parents going on too. And they said to just go home and watch cartoons, and then this movie comes out because you know about the Transformers, and then you see this movie, and it just hurt. You killed off the main character.
Yeah. I mean, there was parent group outcry over this because it was so traumatic. Kids are coming out of the movie crying, and their parents are like, "I took you to Transformers. What happened?"
But that's the animated movie. We're talking about the series here.
But even the series. I mean, Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, Frank Welker as Megatron, Soundwave, one of the greatest toy lines in the history of toys. This series was probably, in my opinion, what I would call one of the two greatest toy line animated series of all time.
Yeah.
In fact, we go back to it. This series is so, I think in ways is so intertwined with the other series, Kevin, that when we go back to the movie and talk about the death of the Optimus Prime, it affected the movie for that other series.
This is true. Now, I have to tell you though, there was one other animated series that rivaled Transformers in a similar way that I don't think gets the justice that it deserves, and in some ways is actually far more superior than Transformers, and that's the GoBots.
You may die a slow and painful death. I knew you were going there. I was just waiting for it because I'm just going to let the chat people and the people.
My name is Kevin. I like the GoBots because they were easy to put together.
In other words, my name is Kevin. I couldn't figure out how to transform a transformer. GoBots took 2 moves.
Some were hard, man. Come on, you would end up breaking them, but GoBots are easy.
Kevin, why don't we just go there with since I just nominated Transformers, why don't we just go with the one that you love?
Yep. Yeah, let's do it.
Tie in together.
Yeah, we got to talk about G.I. Joe, a real American hero animated series. This one, of course, is one of my favorites. Absolutely love this series. Went from 85 to 86, and then 89, continued 89 through 91. And what I loved about this series, which you had the mini series first, that lasted an entire work week, 5 episodes, and it brought them together. If you watch them all together, it's like this little mini movie, and they did that with several of them. You had the Mass Device one, you had the Pyramid of Darkness one, you had which one?
The Revenge of Cobra.
Yeah, and then there were some 2-part episodes, but this was a great time to be a kid, especially when you had G.I. Joe selling the toys, and they wanted to build a world around it by making the cartoon and the Marvel Comics series coming out. So you had these 3 things that were all tying together with this wonderful world of awesome characters. G.I. Joe, man, real American hero. Awesome.
Kevin, I don't know if we can argue it. We've got 3 in. I think G.I. Joe and Transformers are so intertwined, and we both have them on our list, and I don't think people would harm us down if we just made those the next 2 selections.
Yes, G.I. Joe and Transformers. Now, someone was saying, I think it was Nathaniel saying, that Kevin's top pick is probably G.I. Joe.
I know it's not for a fact. It's close.
I'm gonna wait to answer that at the end.
Yep. So, well, I'm gonna pull my anime card because
hold on real quick.
Uh-huh.
List right now, we have room for 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we're at Looney Tunes. They walked right in. Simpsons, Robotech, G.I. Joe, and Transformers.
Yep.
Did we agree on GoBots? I can't remember.
Go to hell. There went the family thing. Okay, I'm going to pull my anime card now because I am going to nominate Cowboy Bebop. This is my all-time favorite anime, and that's saying something. But
this is Kyle's all-time favorite anime.
Yeah. Yep. This show is transcendent of anime, just being part of the anime genre. This show brought in so many people to modern anime, adults, children. You know, there are a lot of people talk about Dragon Ball and Bleach, Attack on Titan. This was the show. This aired on Toonami at night. This had a huge push on DVD from Bandai. This was something that was written for adults, more so adults than anything. But it had elements of Star Wars. It had elements of Firefly. It had elements of mobsters. It had something for everybody, and some of the greatest music ever used in an animation series ever. The soundtracks there's like 4 different soundtracks for this series.
I saw the movie in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I own the series, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Matthew Clifton. He says, dude, it's $5. You got to buy it. And I said, I'll buy it. Just got to get around to watching it. I will.
It is absolutely gorgeously animated. The characters are unforgettable. Plus, it has a Welsh corgi in it that's probably smarter than everybody else on the show.
It's got a doogie in it. Very cool.
So, Cowboy Bebop, I'm putting it out there. This was the anime changer in the 90s, without a doubt. And this is one of those ones that started the anime revolution in the 90s.
All right. I'm going to go with one. I think this is on our list. Yes, it's both on our list here. Yes, the 4 brothers, named after Renaissance artists. They were teenagers. They were mutants. They were turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we're kind of, I guess, are we targeting the original cartoon series from the 80s? Or just everything?
I think you, as a whole, as a property, it's absolutely amazing. But I think for you and me, I mean, that's where our introduction to animation for Turtles started, was that original 80s.
Yeah, and it went on for a while too. There was definitely like over 100 and something episodes, and it was very iconic. And this series was just blowing up. My personal favorite incarnation, though, is the Nickelodeon 2012 through 2017 series. That kind of perfected it, but very iconic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 87 through 96.
Yeah,
just great voiceover work in that as well. Spawned one of the hardest video games of all time on the Nintendo NES.
And actually, if you remember that NES game, though, it was actually more geared towards their comic book look, because they all had the red bandanas in that. So it was actually Turtles, but it was more aimed with their comic book style art.
Yes, yeah. So I know this is both on our list, but we've only got 2 spots left, so we'll have to 2 spots left. We'll have to haggle this out later, but this is both on our list. Iconic for so many reasons.
Yeah.
By the way, just a little sports update, Kyle. That's went into 5th overtime. The hockey
I know,
game.
and they're halfway through that 5th overtime already. Those guys got to be about to pass out. My favorite incarnation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is actually from one of the films, and that's the TMNT movie.
Oh, I love the TMNT movie.
I think that's the closest to the comic book version of Turtles we've had.
So speaking of, I never watched the 2003 series. I was into other stuff. I was working at the game company and all that. And so I never watched the 2003 series. And I just watched the first episode the other day. And I think the second one, and was really good. I'm looking forward to diving into that more. But yeah, that animated TMNT is phenomenal. Great cast in that too.
Yeah. So, well, Kevin, that Turtles eliminated everything that was on my list. So that leaves what's left on your list. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think if I didn't include certain other things, this would have made my list.
Yeah, I'm really surprised this was not on your nomination.
Okay, I'm going to say it was between this and Turtles, and it was tough, but I think Turtles animated is just a little bit more iconic overall. It's close.
Oh man, I don't know. I might have to shame you a little bit for not putting it on your list. So, but it is on your honorable mentions.
And I'm like, when I say like it missed it by like that much.
I have to fight for Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the series that just ended, went from 2008 to 2020. I did not mention actually on my honorable list is the first animated series. Is it Tartakovsky? How do you say his name?
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, the same guy who did Samurai. Was
Samurai Jack. Yeah, well, that was 2003 to 2005, but they were a lot shorter episodes, like 15 minutes or something. But we're talking about, of course, the Dave Filoni run. First started with George Lucas heading that up. and just recently ended wonderfully, gave us the finish that we needed. Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and of course gave us Ahsoka, man. Gave us Ahsoka, the Bad Batch, and totally just flushed out the whole prequel series and behind, what was happening in and around and after that. Beautiful animation, fantastic and wonderful voice work. Star Wars, the Clone Wars should have been on your nomination list, buddy.
Okay, so here no, let me. I do want to explain this because I know I'm going to get some heat from certain people, and I understand that. I think the only thing for me, the reason why it didn't is two reasons. The first 2 seasons of Clone Wars are a little rough.
You know what? I thought that too. I would say more the first season is, but the second season, there's some good episodes in there.
Oh yeah, there's some good episodes in the mix. Season 2 it improves in season 2, but the first season and even the movie, when you add in the movie, that's a little rough. I think the other thing for me with Clone Wars, and this is beyond its control in a way, but how it got so jerked around, from is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? It gets canceled on Cartoon Network.
It was aired out of order.
You had the weirdness of those that one season on Netflix.
Yeah, but it really gained a new popularity while the first 5 seasons were on Netflix, and then you got the 6th season on Netflix.
And I think that's an important thing to say too. Is I don't know that there was a lot of people behind Clone Wars in its initial run. I think this is one of those things to where it was the Netflix being able to go watch it all on Netflix that a lot of people turned around on.
Yeah, and Netflix really kind of brought that to the forefront.
And I think that's for me what stands out when we talk about the rest of these things. They all caught on.
Is it too new as well? Is that another thing? Maybe
it might be a little bit of that, but I think that's the big thing for me with Clone Wars was because it didn't catch on right away like these other shows we have talked about. They all caught on into an audience right out of the gate. But
it's so huge now, man.
It's absolutely huge. But one of when I did this list, and trust me, this was a very hard one for me to do. I had to consider the history of the shows too. And again, Clone Wars was up and down in the beginning, and it got jerked around. And like I said, I think it's one of those things that it got revisited, but when I think about a Batman the Animated Series, that was just a hit right out of the gate. Turtles was a hit right out of the gate. G.I. Joe, Transformers, all those things, people were gravitated to them. And I think for me too, and again, these are our personal lists. For me, a lot of these shows were stuff when I was growing up.
Right. No, I hear you. Yeah, there's definitely nostalgia. There's a longevity that also comes into play as well. And the cultural impact that it made and is still making as well.
Let me put it this way. I think season 7 of Clone Wars elevated Clone Wars to another level. That puts it right in that consideration. If we don't get this season 7, Clone Wars is an easy honorable mention for me. But because we got to season 7 with this phenomenal finale of this Ahsoka story, that's what really it was like I said, it was razor thin.
Okay, so we've mentioned all of our nominations here. Of course, yours was Simpsons, Turtles, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Batman, Robotech, Cowboy Bebop, minus Simpsons, G.I. Joe, Turtles, Star Wars, Clone Wars, Futurama, Robotech, and Inspector Gadget. The one cartoon series that is both on our list is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Fandom Hall of Fame?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right. TMNT. Now we have Looney Tunes, Simpsons, Robotech, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the Fandom Hall of Fame for favorite animated and cartoon TV series. We have a spot for one more, Kyle. One more.
This is tough for me because I know what you're gonna. I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna push in there. My nomination would be Batman the Animated Series. I think getting that primetime slot when primetime animation like that was just impossible to get. It gave what a lot of people consider the definitive Batman and the definitive Joker with Mark Hamill's Joker. And
the other argument too that you have going for it that you haven't mentioned, and I think is very important, is I look at the list here. I don't have any superheroes on this list.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
another argument for it as well.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's between this and I'm going to assume it's Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin, I'm almost willing to break the rules and pull founder privilege and put both in.
Are we doing a top 8 instead of 7?
We can do it for this. I mean, because I
It's
think the
tough,
arguments,
isn't it? It's really tough.
well, if the listeners are out there, do you have any input here?
I know, right? Hey, Sean Dempsey, by the way, is in there. He says, "Hey, Kyle. Hey, Kevin. Guys, we need your help. Should we just break the rule and let Batman and Star Wars: The Clone Wars go in? Or if we keep it at 7, which one gets in? Because I want to vote for Star Wars: Clone Wars. Kyle has a great argument for Batman. We need a superhero category in here because there's been so many, and you're right, it is very iconic. It paved the way for so many things. I'm kind of leaning on breaking the rule here. Let's let both Batman and Clone Wars in there. They can share the number 7 spot, or we'll just give the 8 spot to something else. Jennifer says break the rules.
Just real quick, Kevin.
Yes.
This puts me in a happy spot. The Tampa Bay Lightning just won that game halfway through the 5th overtime.
What does that mean?
It means they won the first game of a 7-game series.
Okay, wow. All right.
But they've already played 2, so
back to the chat, by the way. Sean Dempsey also says break the rules. So
yeah,
so
does Dave Fielding.
Okay, break the rules. Both got to go in.
Nathaniel says we have to DQ both and put Futurama in.
Oh, definitely a top 10. So we're going to have 8 here. Here we go. The walk-in was Looney Tunes, Simpsons, Robotech, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman, and Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There we go, man. We did it.
Yeah. I gotta say that was maybe the toughest final decision we've had yet.
Jennifer said they're both iconic and did so much for the genre. Take something away from another Hall of Fame vote. No. No, we can't do it. It's tough, man. It's very tough.
One of the highlights I've ever had was being at a convention, standing next to Kevin Conroy's table when he stands up on the table instantaneously and does the whole Batman "I am the Night" speech in the Batman voice.
You know, I don't know what that speech is, but him to do that though, is like watching some of our favorite actors. And I love it when I saw Brent Spiner do the Spot song, and did that. And I thought that was great when he did that. So yeah, but anyway, thanks guys. You made us break the rules. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of breaking the rules, we're almost at 2 hours here, Kevin. I think
it was a lot to cover. It was a lot to cover, man. We were having fun here, and I'm going to blame the chat for making us go long, and I think that's a good.
But I think Dave Fielding would like to get to some sleep.
Yeah, Dave, go get some sleep, bro. Love you, man.
So with that, I'm going to quote the prophets as always: be excellent to each other, and as we say around here, enjoy your fandom. We're out of here, guys.
See ya, guys. Thanks, YouTube.